Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream Sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to MyPillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. MyPillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Welcome in on this Friday as we wrap up another week. Elon Musk and 7 members of the DOGE team shed some light on the department's cost-cutting mission in an exclusive sit-down. This interview was with special report Brett Baer last night. Stick around because you're going to want to hear what they had to say. A new book claims that Democrats quietly developed contingency plans to prepare for former President Joe Biden either dying in office or removing himself from consideration to be the party's 2024 nominee, which is what eventually happened. More than a year before the election, all of this talk was taking place. A federal judge has ordered all records of the signal chat between Trump administration officials to be safeguarded to allow him time to evaluate what happened and if any further actions are required. And Bill Gates says that AI will replace doctors, teachers, all within 10 years, and claims that humans won't be needed for most things. Wow. Wonder how AI does with talk radio host.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
A new book just published says that Democrats quietly hatched contingency plans to prepare for multiple scenarios with President Joe Biden. One, of course, dying in office. The other, if he would potentially remove himself from the 2024 nomination process, which is what he did after his horrible debate performance. Here's the interesting part of this. While White House officials, party officials, media members like MSNBC host Joe Scarborough were publicly testifying about Joe Biden's fitness for office, aides to Vice President Kamala Harris privately strategized around the possibility that Biden could die in office. This is according to Jonathan Alley and Amy Parnes. Their upcoming book is titled Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House, which was previewed by The Guardian. Officials at the Democrat National Committee engaged in similar prep work as well, according to Allen and Parnes. The authors wrote, in hush-hush talks starting in 2023, DNC officials gamed out Biden withdrawal scenarios, according to 2 people familiar with the process. They wrote, they wanted to make sure the party was ready for every possible circumstance if Biden launched his campaign and then stepped aside before the primaries, if he won a bunch of primaries and then could not continue, if he secured enough delegates for winning the nomination but dropped out before winning a floor vote at the convention, and another scenario if he left a vacancy at the top of the ticket after taking the nomination. Biden, 82, ultimately withdrew, as you know, in July amid a revolt from the party following his disastrous June 27th debate performance against President Trump, during which he struggled to complete full thoughts. He struggled to answer the questions, simple questions, posed by the CNN moderators. It was painful to watch, if you'll recall. According to Allen and Parnes, top Democrats had fretted for months that he wouldn't make it all the way through a grueling campaign. Now, what I find interesting about all of this is that evidently Joe Biden and those around him, I don't know if it was the First Lady or who, had him in such a cocoon that evidently these people couldn't have this conversation with him. He was totally isolated. Surely the First Lady, surely Kamala Harris, who claimed to be in daily contact with him, had to know that Joe Biden probably wasn't going to make it through a campaign. The book claims one official involved in secret talks put a fine point on the fear that Biden would not make it to the election day as the party's nominee. They wrote, it shows what we had to do to prepare with the unique circumstances we had, which was an 80-plus-year-old president who was still in the race. Inside the White House, one of the key figures involved with contingency planning was Harris's then communications director, Jamal Simmons, who even prepared a death pool roster of judges who could quickly be called to swear Harris into office if necessary. So they literally, like a bunch of vultures, circling this man, ready to replace him with Kamala Harris if, in fact, he didn't wake up one day. Simmons departed his role with Harris at the beginning of January 2023. While he never told the vice president about the death pool roster before leaving her camp, he demanded to be notified immediately if something happened to Biden because he had worked out an entire communications strategy, according to the authors. Simmons later drew national attention after Trump's election victory for publicly suggesting that Biden step down from office before the inauguration so that his old boss could make history as the first female commander-in-chief. With so many people making that suggestion in Biden's inner circle, I'm surprised he didn't do it. And I think the reason he did not do it was because by this point, and people may have sort of discounted Joe Biden and whether or not he knew what was going on around him, but I think the old guy probably knew more than they thought, and he realized that these vultures were circling him. And he didn't like it that Kamala Harris was pushing him out, or did push him out. So no way was he going to voluntarily resign just so she could say she was the first female black president. Wasn't going to happen. Biden, of course, did serve through January 20th. 2 days after the debate, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, we're told, hosted a donor reception that Biden attended. The president required fluorescent tape on the floor to function. They used it as described as colorful breadcrumbs showing the leader of the free world where to walk. Wow. And we knew it was bad, but didn't know it was that bad. They put colored tape on the floor for Joe Biden to follow so he would know where to go. They described in the book that at the event, Biden didn't look well and didn't sound vital. Democrat luminaries privately urged Biden to consider throwing in the towel at the event, with his former boss, Barack Obama, asking point blank, "What is your path?" Biden thought, according to the message, "What's my path?" He said, "What's your effing plan?" By then, things were getting contentious because Joe Biden knew they were trying to push him out, and he wasn't going to go. Allen and Parnes have previously written books on Trump's 2016 election victory and his 2020 defeat. Their book is slated for publication on April Fool's Day, April the 1st. In other Biden news, ex-Biden White House staffer Michael LaRosa alleges that former President Joe Biden's staffers made really unethical demands of the press in an effort to bully reporters into covering the president in a favorable manner. Does this surprise anybody? LaRosa, who served as former First Lady Jill Biden's press secretary, detailed this alleged bullying campaign to the Young Turks host Sink Uruguay in a podcast yesterday. He said they did bully a lot of journalists, and I think they would tell you that now. They wouldn't have told you at the time. The former staffer claimed that Biden's communications team was very hostile and very suspicious of journalists under the leadership of Anita Dunn, acting as if they were operating out of a bunker while performing their jobs. Look again. It's just evidence of the cocoon that they had Joe Biden in. They protected the man. They knew what they were doing. They knew he wasn't capable of answering questions, but they didn't want to lose their jobs. They wanted to hold on to the power as long as they possibly could. According to the report, he wondered why an administration which was running a re-election campaign that claimed democracy is at stake would go to such great lengths to discredit any press or polls that showed that the president was not capable of potentially running again. He said, years ago I was saying, I don't know why if we're running a re-election campaign with the democracy at stake, why we're trashing journalism, we're trashing the polls, we're trashing anybody who covers, talks, or tweets about a poll, anybody who talks about age. It was a problem. It was a problem because not one poll, but every poll said it was a problem, he said. He also questioned why this alleged bullying was even necessary, considering the quote, goodwill that Biden already had with the media. And he's probably right. I mean, the media loved Joe Biden. They hated Donald Trump. So they were going to protect Joe Biden at any cost. LaRosa revealed that members of the Biden team made these demands from journalists dating back to the president's 2020 campaign. He said, I thought it was weird that they only did interviews for, quote, approval. There was this thing in Biden world about quote approval. Everything had to be on quote approval, meaning that any statement that came out of the president's mouth had to be approved. Anything that was printed, anything that was handed over to the press had to be approved. Now, I don't know who was approving it. It'd be interesting to know that. LaRosa said that young members of Biden's staff were dog-trained on how to coerce the press into only asking the president certain questions and gaining access to those questions ahead of the interview so they could coach him on the answer. Wow. We knew it was bad, just didn't quite know it was that bad. We have all the details of this intriguing interview last night with Elon Musk and 7 members of the DOGE team. So stick around because you're going to want to hear this. I don't know that I've ever heard an interview like that of people who are systematically going through our government, basically doing like an audit of how our government is operating efficiently or inefficiently. And some of the things that they revealed in this interview, and we're not going to have time, obviously, to go over all of it. We're going to hit the highlights for you. But they're pretty amazing. Just pretty amazing to what Elon Musk and this brain trust that he's put together. And they're truly smart guys. These are smart people. And why anybody would object to them just taking a look at how our government is operating, I don't know. But anyway, you're going to find it intriguing. Speaking of tech, though, Bill Gates predicted that advancements in artificial intelligence, and by the way, the fact that artificial intelligence is being used quite a bit in all facets of life now, that question came up too with Elon Musk last night. Brett Baer asked if AI was being used as part of their operations and part of their review of the government. We'll get into that in a minute. But Bill Gates is predicting that at the rapid pace that artificial intelligence is being developed, that it's going to significantly reduce humanity's role in many traditional tasks like medicine and education. And the seismic shift could happen, according to Bill Gates, and he's a pretty smart guy too. I don't agree with him politically, but he's a smart guy. I mean, think about the impact he has had on our life. I mean, right now, in this studio, we have Windows computers. Everything I do, work-wise, is done on a Windows computer. He changed the way we do business. So I give Bill Gates credit for being able to look into the future and to predict how that future could look. So during a recent interview with comedian Jimmy Fallon on NBC's The Tonight Show, the Microsoft co-founder described a future where humans are no longer necessary for, quote, most things, he said, because AI technology will readily perform tasks that currently require specialized human skills. Today, expertise in fields such as medicine and education remains rare, Gates said, adding that those areas depend on a great doctor or a great teacher. Gates said over the next decade, great medical advice and great tutoring will become free and commonplace. And look, you can kind of see that now with Chat GPT. I don't know if you've experimented with it. I have. I'm just curious about where this AI is headed. You can type in queries to Chat GPT, and it will answer your questions. It will write a paper for you. It'll do a research paper for you. It will write it to make it sound like someone else's speech. And I'm not talking about how they sound, but I'm talking about the tone that they would write something. Gates further elaborated on this vision of his of a new era that he terms free intelligence. This in a conversation last month with Arthur Brooks, a Harvard professor known for his research on happiness. AI technology will increasingly permeate daily life, revolutionize areas from healthcare and diagnosis to education, with AI tutors becoming broadly available, the billionaire predicted. Gates told Brooks, it's very profound and even a little bit scary because it's happening very quickly and there's no upper bound. And he's right. AI, if you keep up with it, it is happening very quickly. I mean, I'm particularly interested in how AI, you can create an image. You can type in, and I've done this. You can type in, create an image of a brown Cocker Spaniel with a blue ball, which is like my Jesse with his blue ball. And it is eerily scary of the image that AI will produce. I'll get a lifelike brown Cocker Spaniel with a blue ball. I can also ask it to do a video of that same brown Cocker Spaniel playing with the blue ball, and it will. It'll have a little Cocker Spaniel running around with the ball. It's just crazy how quickly this has come about. There's considerable debate, of course, on the future role that humans will play, and just what AI will be allowed to do in replacing humans. Some analysts suggest that AI will primarily help mankind become more productive, potentially create new economic opportunities and employments, allow us to do our jobs better, more efficiently. Microsoft AI CEO Mustafa Suleyman believes that the transformation of work by AI will have a hugely destabilizing impact. In his 2023 book, The Coming Wave, he writes, these tools will only temporarily augment human intelligence. They'll make us smarter and more efficient for a time and will unlock enormous amounts of economic growth, but they're fundamentally labor replacing. Despite acknowledging potential disruptions, Bill Gates says that he's optimistic about AI's positive contributions, including breakthroughs in medical treatments, climate solutions, and widespread education. He does recognize certain activities will always remain human-specific. He said there will always be some things we reserve for ourselves, citing entertainment activities as examples. But in terms of making things and moving things and growing food, over time, he says those will basically be solved problems by AI. Gates acknowledged legitimate concerns about AI's rapid development, highlighting its propensity for errors and misinformation online in a 2023 blog post. But he said that if he were to launch a startup today, he would pursue an AI-centric venture. Gates also talked about encouraging the next generation, saying that he wanted to encourage young people at Microsoft, OpenAI, wherever he could find them. He said he would say, hey, here's the frontier, because you're taking a fresher look at this than I am, and that's your fantastic opportunity. Look, the thing, though, about these young people is a lot of them are afraid AI is going to replace them. It's going to replace their jobs. Gates has anticipated AI's revolutionary potential for about a decade, he said. He said he could see this coming, and obviously has worked towards some of it. He has positioned Microsoft in such a way that it can take full advantage of it. But it is scary. If you haven't played around with AI, if you haven't played around with Chat GPT, for example, it's pretty easy to do. It will amaze you just how quickly it learns your tone of voice, how you write, and how it can duplicate it very quickly. Hi, Joey Hudson here. You know, this spring there's a renewed energy and focus on efficiencies, and shaking up unhealthy habits don't serve us well. There's so much chatter about making America great again, but it starts in your home with you being the best, healthiest version of yourself. And PhD Weight Loss is doing their part because for the first time ever, the first 11 callers get 2 free weeks added to your weight loss program. That is huge. PhD's out to prove that you don't need Big Pharma to reach your goals. It just creates dependency, not long-term change. Dr. Ashley Lucas researched weight loss trends for years and discovered a scientifically proven way to retrain your body to burn fat efficiently without hunger, extreme exercise, or dangerous medications. PhD clients watch their belly fat disappear, their energy skyrocket, cholesterol and blood pressure normalize without starving themselves. I lost over 30 pounds and I've never felt better. So call now and mention promo code Joey for my 2 weeks for free with my program. Call 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900 or go to myphdweightloss.com. It's very interesting to watch the interview last night of the Department of Government Efficiency head, Elon Musk, and 7 members of the team. They kind of shed some light on this department's cost-cutting mission and what their expectations are. This was on Special Report with Brett Baer. Musk told Baer that they want to reduce spending by eliminating waste and fraud and reduce the spending by 15%, which Musk believes is quite achievable.
Our goal is to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. From a nominal deficit of $2 trillion to try to cut the deficit in half to $1 trillion, or looked at it in total federal spending to drop the federal spending from $7 trillion to $6 trillion. We want to reduce the spending by eliminating waste and fraud, reduce the spending by 15%, which seems really quite achievable. The government is not efficient, and there's a lot of waste and fraud. So we feel confident that a 15% reduction can be done without affecting any of the critical government services.
All right, did you hear that last part? Because many of you have emailed me, you've texted me, and look, your texts are always welcome. You can email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. You can leave me a message on the MyPillow message line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Always use promo code Joey when you go to mypillow.com, and you can receive huge savings. Mike Lindell has some great deals for you right now when you go to mypillow.com. For example, he has a huge load of sheets that the big box stores canceled the orders on. They're not going to accept them. So he's going to pass those savings on to you. There's no middleman. You're going to get wholesale prices on the Giza Dream Sheets. For example, normally a queen size set, $139.98. When you use promo code Joey, $69.99. King sizes are only $79.99, and the Percal queen size sheets, $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 with promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com. You'll get free shipping options available. The allotment's not going to last long. When they're gone, they're gone. So place your order today. You can call 800-893-4059, 800-893-4059, or again, go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. So Musk, along with DOGE members Steve Davis, Joe Gebbia, Aram Magadashi, Brad Smith, Anthony Armstrong, Tom Krause, and Tyler Hassan, they kind of gave a behind-the-scenes glimpse at the department's work from the Internal Revenue source to the Interior Department to Social Security. I mean, they went through all these agencies. Musk says it might be the biggest revolution in government since the original revolution. He said, but at the end of the day, America is going to be in much better shape. As of March 27th, DOGE claims that it's, and this is on its website, you can go and see it for yourself, that it saved Americans $130 billion. So far, that's $807.45 per taxpayer. President Trump has tasked the organization with optimizing the federal government, streamlining operations, slashing spending, and he gave the agency 18 months to do it. That's why they're working so quickly, because they have a deadline. The department has canceled numerous diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives at federal agencies. They've canceled consulting contracts, leases for underused federal buildings, and duplicate agencies and programs. So during this special report, and again, it was very intriguing. Musk and the 7 DOGE members illustrated key efforts of the department to achieve Trump's goal. Davis brought up federal credit cards, which he labeled a mundane but illustrative example of DOGE's work. And he explained how in the federal government there are like 4.6 million credit cards for about 2.3 to 2.4 million employees. So there's double the amount of credit cards, and his question is, does this make sense? Where are these credit cards? Who has them? Why do we have twice as many credit cards as we do federal employees? It's just an example and an opportunity for fraud. He said clearly there should not be more credit cards than there are people. This 8-man group also discussed DOGE's work relating to the federal workforce, financial management, government infrastructure, computer systems, and Social Security. Now, a lot of you have emailed me and text me about Social Security because you're concerned about benefits. And I get that. I understand it. But let's go back to what Musk said in the very beginning. Nothing they do is going to cut anybody's current benefits. Nothing. So don't let your friends, don't look at stuff on Facebook and social media. Don't listen to the Democrats who are running around saying that Republicans and President Trump's trying to cut your Social Security or trying to cut your Medicare. Musk was very clear. No benefits are going to be cut, period. Musk and DOGE, they've been a lightning rod of criticism, primarily from the left, due to the department's commitment to slashing waste, slashing fraud, and weeding out abuse in the federal government. Brett Baer asked about the criticism of DOGE and what the Democrats are saying that they shoot from the hip.
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible. So when we do make mistakes, we correct them quickly, and we move on.
And again, the Democrats are using their typical tactics. They're running campaigns of fear, claiming that DOGE intends to cut Social Security benefits. Musk and his team address some of these claims, specifically about Social Security. Starting with the efficiency of the system, they explain how 40% of calls to Social Security is from people trying to defraud the system. Think about that. 40% of calls every single day are fraudsters.
At Social Security, one of the first things we learned is that they get phone calls every day of people trying to change direct deposit information. So when you want to change your bank account, you can call Social Security. We learned 40% of the phone calls that they get are from fraudsters. 40%? That's right. Almost half.
Yes, and they steal people's Social Security is what happens. Is they call in, they say, they claim to be a retiree, then they convince the Social Security person on the phone to change where the money's flowing. It actually goes to some fraudster. This is happening all day, every day. And then somebody doesn't receive their Social Security. It's because of all the fraud loopholes in the Social Security system.
How do you reassure people that what you all are doing is not going to affect their benefits?
No, in fact, what we're doing will help their benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of DOGE, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of DOGE, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money.
All right.
I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
They went on to describe how there are millions of Social Security accounts that are fraudulent, and the DOGE team is working to eliminate those.
The amount of issues that were with the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yes.
Correct.
15 million.
Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem, again, pre-existing problems, since 2008 at least from an IG report. So there were some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this, 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use those for good intentions. And so one of the things the DOGE team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
They also pointed out how outdated the computer systems are, and Musk explains that they're just simply tech support for federal agencies.
Another example at NIH is today they have 27 different centers. They got created over time by Congress, and they're typically by disease state or body system. There's 700 different IT systems today at NIH.
700 different IT systems.
IT software systems.
They
can't speak to each other.
And so they don't talk to one another.
They have 27 different CIOs. And so when you think about making great medical discoveries, you have to connect the data.
Time out. You said 27 different chief information officers?
Correct.
And most of them are non-technical.
So there's a lot there.
There's a lot of opportunity, and it will make science better, not worse.
And when I say that our job is tech support, I really mean it.
Yeah.
We have to fix the computers. If the computers can't talk to each other, you can't get research done. If the computers can't stay online, people won't receive their Social Security. So what we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are preventing people from preventing research from happening, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
And that's what I want to hear. Let's get out of the way and let them fix it. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. As we wrap up this Friday edition of the show, U.S. District Judge James Boasberg, who has developed a reputation, if you will, he hates Trump. He's a Biden-appointed federal judge who is trying his best to disrupt anything that Donald Trump does. Well, he's ordered all parties involved in the Trump administration's leaked Signal chat that has dominated the news this past week. He's asked them, or actually he's told them, to preserve disclosed messages, to give him additional time to evaluate the administration's handling of this infamous group chat. Now, what are the odds that this same judge would have been assigned this case? I think we know that something's going on with the federal judiciary. Now, this all came about after a lawsuit was filed by the left-leaning government transparency group known as American Oversight. And they've asked whether senior cabinet officials violated federal record-keeping laws by using Signal to discuss plans for a military strike on the Houthis in Yemen. Now, from all accounts, the Signal app is used routinely among government officials. They've all testified that Signal came on their government-issued cell phones. But the judge wants to investigate this. This chat, of course, is now infamous after it was revealed that these top U.S. officials had inadvertently included Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg for several days during their discussions. Judge Boasberg said during a 25-minute hearing that the federal government must preserve all signal communications between March 11th and March 15th, which is roughly the window of communications about the military action in Yemen. Judge Boasberg already under fire from the Trump administration for issuing a restraining order, of course, that temporarily blocks the president's use of the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to deport these Venezuelan national criminals, these murderers, these robbers. The judge would rather have them on U.S. soil than send them back to where they came. He emphasized at the start of yesterday's hearing that he was randomly assigned to the case through a docket computer system, not by choice. Well, I wonder if he could have recused himself. I get that maybe he was randomly assigned the case. I think he spent too much time trying to explain that part of it, which kind of makes him look guilty. But even if he was randomly assigned, can he take himself off the case? I can't imagine that he can if he wanted to. The judge's remarks came hours after President Trump accused Judge Boasberg on social media of, quote, grabbing the Trump cases all to himself, a claim that Boasberg quickly sought to refute by detailing the court's random assignment process, including the electronic card system used to distribute cases among judges. If that is the case, if that's true, if he truly was randomly assigned, wouldn't you have loved to have been sitting there when he got the assignment to have seen the expression on his face? The judge said that's how it works, and that's how all cases continue to be assigned in the court. Boasberg, of course, has gone round and round with Trump over its failure to comply with the court's request for information on its deportation flights. This is the judge who ordered the airplanes to turn around and come back, which the Trump administration claimed that the flights were already in international airspace and they couldn't turn around, and they didn't turn around. They delivered a couple of hundred, 261 to be exact, of these Venezuelan nationals and alleged members of the gang Tren de Aragua from the U.S. to El Salvador, to some of the worst prisons in the world. The flights appeared, again, to have departed from Texas around the time Boasberg issued the emergency restraining order, and the flights were able to continue. The Justice Department this week invoked the state secrets privilege in this ongoing court battle, a national security tool that could allow the Trump administration to withhold some information from the courts, again, for national security purposes. These federal judges, and this one in particular, doesn't or shouldn't be able to require Trump and his administration to turn over things that could really affect our national security. This judge doesn't need to know this stuff. The Trump administration has vowed to immediately appeal that decision to the Supreme Court. The appellate court, which voted 2-1 to uphold Boasberg's ruling and allow for now the block on Trump's deportation flights to continue, could be reversed by the U.S. Supreme Court. We only can hope and pray that it does. In other courtroom actions, 8 inspectors general who were quickly fired by President Trump at the start of his second term, they appeared in federal court yesterday to challenge their dismissals. And they didn't get exactly the news that they had hoped for. U.S. District Judge Anna Reyes said yesterday that it would be difficult for the court to reinstate the 8 ousted inspectors general who were part of this broader group of 17 government watchdogs who were terminated by Trump in January, just 4 days into his second White House term. In a lawsuit last month, the 8 inspectors general challenged their firings as both unlawful and unjustified, they said, and they've asked to be reinstated. A remedy that Judge Reyes acknowledged yesterday would be exceedingly difficult, even if she were to find that their firings were unconstitutional. She told the plaintiffs, unless you convince me otherwise, I don't see how I could reinstate the inspectors general to the roles. And look, these are unnecessary federal positions that the Trump administration recognized they weren't doing their job, and so they fired them. And they run the court hoping that a federal judge will give them their jobs back. Why would that happen? Judge Ray suggested that the best the court could do would be to order back pay, even as she told both parties, I don't think anyone can contest that the removal of these people, the way they were fired, was a violation of the law. Doesn't matter, Judge. The president had that prerogative. The president can have who he wants on his team. And again, there was evidence there that suggested that these inspector generals hadn't been doing their job. You don't do your job, you get fired. The preliminary injunction in this case comes more than a month after the 8 fired IGs filed this lawsuit challenging their termination as unconstitutional. Plaintiffs asked the judge to restore them to their positions, noting in the filing President Trump's attempt to eliminate a crucial and longstanding source of impartial, nonpartisan oversight of his administration is contrary to the rule of law. I hate it for him. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.